Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good morning, Steffi.
All right, where do we start? You tweeted, Senate Republicans say no direct evidence of conspiracy. They would exonerate Benedict Arnold by saying since Benedict Arnold wasn't actually caught with Major Andre, the maps to seize West Point found in his boot were a coincidence, no direct evidence of conspiracy. Hashtag Treason Caucus. Hooray with the Benedict Arnold.
Funny with the Benedict Arnold, it turns out that I guess last night I was once again a guest on the Sean Hannity show.
Oh, were you?
Yes, where I made this very analogy on Chris Matthews' show the other night, and Fox News played it, even misrepresenting the fact that what I was talking about was Major Andre, the British spy who was caught with the maps of West Point in his freaking boot, and that he was hung as a spy. And that's when George Washington realized Benedict Arnold gave him those documents. But as we all know, none of this is direct evidence. Right? Therefore, everybody's innocent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as John Brennan, tweeted, Senate Intel Committee doing good work, but does not conduct criminal investigation. It is up to special counsel to charge those who criminally conspired with Russia. Who said it like that? Oh, Malcolm Nance. Don't conflate collusion, which occurred, with criminal conspiracy. Stay tuned. Given all he knows, that's pretty significant, right?
Well, you've been saying this all morning. Throw the word collusion out of your vocabulary. It does not mean anything. Say cooperation, say co-option, say coercion, but don't say collusion, because Donald Trump has weaponized that word to mean that he's innocent. The word is conspiracy. That's the crime that has been committed here. And Burr knew exactly what he was doing when he said no direct collusion. He was speaking to an audience of Donald Trump and his 37% of followers.
Right.
What we have here is a conspiracy to not just defraud the United States, but to actually use their relationships with foreign intelligence agencies and foreign powers to steal an election. Now, you guys know when I wrote Plot to Hack America, I subtitled it How the Russians Tried to Steal the 2016 election. But the evidence is becoming clear. They really made great inroads in changing the mindset of the American public, and they helped Donald Trump steal that election.
Yeah.
So that's conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love this part of the story. Burr was careful to note that more facts may yet be uncovered. Howdy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And already have been by Mueller.
Conspiracy?
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about more than 100 contacts with Trump's associates and Russians, right? Let's talk about, Manafort giving data analytics to, Kalimnik, right? Talk about the Trump Tower meeting. Let's talk about, on and on. You call it whatever you want. It sounds like collusion to me, or as you say, conspiracy, right?
Conspiracy in plain sight. Donald Trump is the person who went on television and said, Russia, if you're listening, we need you to release 33,000 Hillary Clinton emails. But now we're finding all of this had been going on with this myriad of activities that the Trump campaign was thinking they were going to be enriched by Russia. Yeah. And I've said this in 2 books over the last 2.5 years, that these were legs of a Russian campaign, knowing these Americans were rich. I mean, we're not rich, wanted to make money off of Russia, knowing that they would do anything to win the election. And they not only were manipulated, they took advantage of their avarice. They took advantage of their corruption. They took advantage of their lack of patriotism, and that they would reward Russia for helping them. All of the stories we hear, Manafort, all of his dealings, he's technically, if you want to use the Benedict Arnold Major Andre analogy, he's the Major Andre. I call him stupid Major Andre, but he was the man who was there, put into that position to help Trump conspire.
Yeah. And let's not forget, lifting sanctions helps Putin and Trump, because Trump is concurrently pursuing business in Russia, right? I mean, it's all intertwined. By the way, go ahead. Yeah, you must enjoy being openly taunted by Russians. You saw this influential Kremlin advisor, what's his name, Surkov, boasted that Russia's foreign interference goes beyond elections and actually interferes with consciousness. You, of course, have written about this. He's credited with shaping Russia's authoritarian political system using techniques borrowed from, wait for it, reality television. He said we need to recognize, understand, and describe the Putinist system of government as the ideology of the future. He admitted the Kremlin sought to influence Western democracies using the same techniques he used to build what he calls a managed democracy in the former Soviet Union. He mocked foreign governments investigating Russian election interference, boasted his propaganda techniques were even more powerful than hacks and other forms of meddling. He said things are much more serious. We meddle with your brains, we change your conscience, and you have no clue what to do about it. I mean,
that book was called The Plot to Destroy Democracy. Mm-hmm. I wrote multiple chapters on Russian information warfare techniques that went back to the Cold War and the KGB and how they had attacked the American public's mindset. They have actually crafted a framework around not just Donald Trump and his crazy 37%, but they've managed the information flow into America so that if you actually start to believe the worldview from the Russian framework around you. And so every time Russia Today or Sputnik or picked up by Fox News or Donald Trump, they literally have crafted a mindset where 40% of the American public will not defend their own nation. And this was done as a technique in order to knock down governments before invasion by invading your public's opinion and welcoming the people who would attack you.
Yeah, and
they wrote about this extensively. I just put it all into 3 chapters in that book.
Well, somebody tweeted, which basically summed up your book. They, the other day that I read, if you think Hillary lost because of Hillary, then you're not paying attention to what Russia is trying to do to democracies all over the world, including Brexit, etc. When there's a headline and then a tweet of yours that correspond, I get particularly terrifying. But Daily Beast: is Russia prepping for war by cracking down on social media? Putin may want to build his own version of the Great Firewall of China. You tweeted, America's next phony war. Will Iran be Trump's Iraq? You have Bolton doing all this fear-mongering about Iran yesterday, right?
That's right.
That is giving us Iraq flashbacks, right?
You're right. And they're leading us into these activities. It is in Russia's interest. I had a chapter in Plot to Destroy Democracy called Make Russia Great Again. And the only way to do it is to knock the United States down. And now that they have their asset in the White House, they are pushing them to do these activities. Russia is working with Iran in Syria and the Syrian government. None of Iran's activities are being lessened in Syria. They're being done strategically. Right. Same thing with Venezuela. Russia is moving money and resources and protecting the Maduro government in Venezuela. They practically control their oil in that country. They want us to do precipitous, dangerous, stupid actions that waste trillions of dollars and will break our economy. And Donald Trump is their puppet. And, I can only keep screaming this. We're going on 3 years that we have been warning the nation about this. But so long as I have Tucker Carlson literally saying on television that my points, which the Department of Defense, the CIA, Director of National Intelligence, all are warning about, is a conspiracy theory worthy of InfoWars.
Yeah.
We have 40% of this country won't believe a word of the defenders of this nation, and Russia is working it.
Yeah. You tweeted about this Russian social media story. You said, welcome back to communism, comrades. Russia establishes the electron curtain. Daily Beast saying the idea is to isolate Russia from the supposedly sinister and politically problematic influences of social media, much as China has done, banning or limiting Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and other websites. Authorities here who are taking up the possibility of war with the West. I do not like the idea of young people using foreign, quote unquote, social media on the American controlled internet. They're also girding for retaliation amid the multiple accusations by the U.S. and other Western powers that Russia uses the internet to influence elections and otherwise attack its adversaries.
You're absolutely right.
This whole,
And let me
go ahead. Yeah.
Well, let me make a point about that. This is very important. Russia is walling its population off from information from the world. They know they can't stop people from traveling. But like in the old Iron Curtain, which was a physical wall, okay, that separated Eastern Europe from Western Europe, it was designed to stop information flow and interactions with democracy. Russia is preparing its people so that they can control that information. They can shut the Russia off and create their own reality within that country. That's not being done just for war, the possibility of war. It's being done because Western democracy and ideas are still dangerous. And that's why China put up the Great Firewall of China. And we have American companies like Google and Twitter that are going there and signing agreements saying, okay, we'll operate in your country, but yes, we will help control your population's opinions. This
Malcolm,
is really
yeah.
dangerous.
I mean, speaking of dangerous, pulling out of the INF, I mean, I am just, sorry, what?
The IMDb.
The IMDb. That was a joke. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, doesn't this directly threaten Europe? Which it really does feel like it is Trump and Putin in an alliance against Europe, who Trump hates, who are supposed to be our allies. It just feels like we're in some weird parallel universe, right?
You see it too?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Look, I remember in the old days back in the 80s when I would go to Heilbronn, Germany. And Heilbronn is where the U.S. Pershing missiles were. Those were intermediate range theater ballistic missiles with atomic bombs on them. And this forced the Russians to realize that if they were to do anything, their Warsaw Pact capitals, that's Poland at the time, it was like Poland and Belarus and Ukraine, they would be nuked. This treaty was designed to dismantle and pull those weapon systems back. If you would like to see where those weapons ended up, go to the United Nations. There is a sculpture made up of the remains of those weapons. These now, by pulling out of the INF treaty, we have said we want to be able to build and deploy systems that will threaten not the United States, but our European capitals. And this is almost a squeeze play between the both of them. Listen, I have one last thing I want to say on this show.
Okay.
Donald Trump is a danger to the national security of the United States. And now I want to talk to the people who are saying that they want to be the next president of the United States. Okay? The Kamala Harris's, the Beto O'Rourke's out there. Your foreign policy platform had better look like you are going to take the United States to completely stand up against Russia. If you want to call it Cold War II, do it. Because if we don't stand up to this country, they are going to work within to knock down our own country.
Yeah.
And you have a population, like I said, 37 to 40% who will believe Vladimir Putin, an ex-KGB officer, over any person defending the United States. So that platform had better look like Dwight Eisenhower's.
Yep. By the way, we're running late as usual, but can I say two words regarding 2020 and get your reaction? Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, oh God, Tulsi Gabbard. I don't even think she's a Democrat.
I don't understand the whole support of Assad and going to Syria. Can we?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, she's a libertarian. She is a Glenn Greenwald libertarian. And like Carlos S. Rocky pointed out a little earlier in the show, my buddy Glenn Greenwald, who, by the way, is the person who led Ilhan Omar into the trap, okay, with one of his tweets about, to talk about Jews being all about the Benjamins. Listen, Tulsi Gabbard is not a real Democrat. Okay, she is a Republican in sheep's clothing. All about, I understand she was in the military. She's a combat vet and all that stuff there. Hey, there is an ideological line that we all need to toe to. So I hope that, but you know what? She's the kind of person that would Jill Stein this election in a heartbeat. No one support Tulsi Gabbard. She has my non-endorsement. I won't tell you who I endorse, but I'll tell you who I don't endorse.
Yeah.
And we don't need this in the Democratic Party to where she's going to stand up and start spouting off pro-Trump rhetoric in the middle of our campaigns.
I'm a little touchy about that. She used to believe in conversion therapy for gays, so that's that's my personal issue. Yeah, she used to. Yes, all right. Anyway, Malcolm, great job on Real Time. Thanks for bringing me along as usual. Thanks for hooking me up with Chris Christie.
No problem. Get him on your show. That'll be fun.
Yes, that was quite the heated argument we had at the after party.
With all those drinks.
Yeah, a little bit. Chardonnay smiles. Okay. I love you, Malcolm. See you next week.
Love you too.
There he goes. Bye-bye.